maybe a touch quieter, and I'm going to put you through the monitor more. But maybe, yeah, a little quieter on your output, but then I can bring you into the mix better. Because then the YouTube people can hear you. Yeah. And it'll probably help. You don't have to do this, but take nice long pauses and let it drift, and so it's just hanging out there like fog. Let it hang in the air like fog. I wish I could close this window. They won't let me. All right, we're live on YouTube. And we're live on TikTok in 3, 2, 1. All right, we're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. And I'm going to share... For anybody out there in virtual land, I'm going to share the Facebook. On Facebook, Brother Seamus goes live through Humans for Democracy on Facebook. That's where you'll find us. But I'm going to put a link up there right now. So there might be some Humans for Democracy fans who don't know we're doing live on TikTok. We do have a little bit of live bass. A little bit of live bass guitar today. Let me see if I can get that camera right in. There we go. Oh, my sign is backward, isn't it? I forgot about that part. Flip camera, mirror your camera. No. There we go. So we got some live bass by Cypher, who's hidden in the back somewhere. He may appear at some point, you just don't know with Cypher. All right, I'm going to post that we're going live on Facebook under Humans for Democracy. So I hope you'll continue to join us. I usually get more questions on the TikToks, but nothing against the YouTube people. You YouTube people are fine. You're good. The YouTube people can see the camera that's recording the TikTok that I sit close to, so I can answer questions. And I might bring on a co-host or something like that. It's not, it's good and it's bad. I think we have to create, I don't like this term, but I think we have to create a safe space. I was just talking to my neighbor Mandy, and she's a lovely woman. She's as conservative as I am liberal. And I think this thing back here, social media, which you're engaging with right now, I think social media makes us hate each other. And yeah, let me know what you think. We used to have all kinds of political differences in the neighborhood, but we hung out with each other in person. And we kept some of that stuff private. But now we unfortunately unlocked the power of the internet, and especially through social media. Now we can say awful things to each other. And I'm not saying I'm not guilty. But I think we've all been kind of tricked. We've kind of been trapped. Tricked and trapped. And, my fellow Americans, let me emphasize this point. Social media is observably definitely harming us. But you can take no civil action against them. You are forbidden. There's a federal code that forbids you from suing social media companies. Can't sue them. I mean, you can try. I should clarify. You can sue anybody you want. Doesn't mean you're going to win. And right now, social media companies have basically this kind of full immunity. And their argument is, well, we don't really control what's published. Well, you sure make money off of it, though, don't you? So they stir up the pot. They collect the prize. And the citizens of the United States pay the price. Oh, we got a MAGA tank going, people. Look at that. All right. I obviously did not vote for Trump, but I don't have any problems with MAGA people unless they're a-holes. And, you know, liberals can be a-holes too. I would encourage anybody watching this program to forget about political parties for a minute. Let's just judge each other based on whether or not we're a-holes. Ironically, the more people get angry on here and make copy and paste the MAGA tank, you guys, that is kind of cool. But we could copy and paste it and call it a Kamala Harris tank, so that wouldn't be that much fun. If you're watching us on YouTube, the phone number is up on the screen there, but feel free over here in TikTok land, you can call me as well. Let me see. Oh yeah, there I can comment. I'm going to put the phone number in the comments if you want to call and be on the phone, although I should turn on my phone line. 509-676-6032 to talk directly to your brother Seamus on the phone, on the Google phone. Let me turn that. Oh, it's already on. Okay, let's make sure it's working. Is the Google phone working?
Cliff at the County Road Commission. I just
thanks for calling.
For the service that you're doing for free on the internet. We've
yes,
got
sir.
a lot of guys out on the road right now clearing all the ice and snow so people can get home safely. And the free entertainment and spiritual guidance that you're providing the citizens of Kent County is greatly appreciated. Thank you for drawing some recognition to all of that.
Well, thank you, sir.
Just want to let you know your YouTube signal is working correctly, and we are receiving it loud and clear. So, again, keep up the good work, and God bless
all right.
you, boys.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Well, there's the tank. I wanted to copy the Trump tank. Because here's the thing on social media. The more you stir the pot. I'm going to go ahead and pin your comment. Not because I agree with you, Snoot Snout. That's pretty funny. I'm going to follow Snoot Snout. I always follow people based on whether their name makes me laugh. I don't think Snoot Snout and I are going to agree on politics at all. But if Snoot Snout was my neighbor and he was stuck in the snow, I'd grab my shovel. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Cypher, when you're ready, let's do a planned musical intro. I'll do that joke again. It's not really a joke. And then as soon as I say it, you come in like, bow, 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 or you come in any way you want. You ready? Here we go. Take two on the Snoot Snout joke. Snoot Snout and I probably do not agree on politics at all. However, if he's my neighbor, If Snoot Snout was my neighbor and his truck was stuck in the snow, or his vehicle was stuck in the snow, I'd grab my shovel. Cue the music. There it is. And I'm joking, but I mean it. I don't give a fuck if you voted for Trump or Harris or even Jill Stein. I mean, she wasn't the worst choice. But we don't need to even talk about politics. What my neighbor Mandy, my conservative neighbor Mandy, and I, we were friends before we knew about each other's politics, and we both strongly feel like what social media has done is broken those friendships. That's what it seems like. It seems like that is what's happened. I'm sorry, I'm trying to invite people on TikTok. People on YouTube, 509-676-6032 is the number. I think you can watch TikTok and call on your phone at the same time, but I don't know if... Yeah, I don't know what would happen. But if you're on TikTok, you can also call that phone number, 509-676-6032. Give us a ring out here in Walla Walla, Washington, and we'll talk about it. I don't think we were ready. My cousin likes to say the human race wasn't really ready for the internet. And I think at an emotional way, that's just true. Because we have figured out, in case you don't know this, these algorithms are going to figure you out, and they're going to bombard you with stuff that makes you upset. Especially, fear is great. Fear and disgust, they can be easily manipulated into very intense emotions through your amygdala, and that's what they have figured out. You could have 3 people living in the same house, all siblings. Facebook's going to serve up 3 different sets of ads to them. And chances are, I would say 1 out of, I'm just guessing, being a psychologist, I don't know if there are any hard numbers on this, but about 15% of the population could be highly suggestible. We used to like that term back in the 80s. And I think it's still a thing, and there's definitely research indicating you can convince people of things that aren't true, especially if you use, well, there's a variety of tricks you can use, but one of the ways that social media is good is they hit you with real emotional material, like let's just say Venezuelan gang members are taking over a city in Colorado. Wow, that sounds terrible. It's not really true, but it really upsets people because for a while they don't know if it's true or not. So your brother Seamus is here to try to kind of say, hey, unless y'all, we had a civil war already once. I think this is actually an information civil war that we're having now, but we're all getting exploited by these mother effers, and they're making money off of the fact that we attack each other online instead of talking about things. Like I talk about things with my neighbor. She thinks I'm off my rocker, but we're still friends. I think she's missing a lot of important points. But she's still my neighbor. So I think that's how we're going to have to work it if we're going to survive, or I guess we could be a nation that goes to war with itself and we start killing each other. Because, eventually, I mean, honestly, for those of you on the right, if we'll call, I don't even think we should use right and left anymore. One of the big problems with Donald Trump, in my opinion, as a psychologist, is he inspires violent rhetoric and behavior. He just does. You can't find anything similar on the left, really. You can't find the amount of hate that then leads to, so you may not agree with that statement, but then hear me out on this. That then leads to things like violent threats to poll workers, who are just regular American people from both parties trying to get along, You know what I'm saying? They're trying to do their job, is what I'm trying to say. The threats to poll workers in this country have come almost exclusively from the right. There aren't a lot of Democrats calling polling places threatening them because they haven't been sold on an idea that something was stolen from them. And I'm not blaming all the people that are upset. I think they got manipulated. I think they just got tricked, plain old tricked. And the trick, because the person perpetrating the trick knows that he has to keep it going, he's going to continue to act like he's investigating 2020 for years because he just needs to keep enough water going through the pump. You know, you got to keep it primed. You don't want to let that lie stop. So you may disagree with that. But if we're neighbors, maybe we should treat each other the way that Jesus said we should treat each other. And just for the record, your brother Seamus, I'm an atheist. All right, I'm a licensed minister, but I'm an atheist. Okay, I'm a freelance rogue street preacher, is what I'm telling you. Maybe someday I'll get licensed in all 50 states, just so I can say this is your brother Seamus, and he's licensed in all 50 states. Where's that music cue? Boom. I may have lost my bass guitar player. Oh, you're still back. I didn't know you were still back there. No, you're good. I was just going to I'm going to turn on some tunes over here and see if I get in trouble with the copyright. No, you take your time. It's almost funnier when you're not there. And then you appear. I haven't seen any you got that right. Thanks, Bill Davis. 777. I'm not sure what I was saying when you said I got that right. But so you believe that you merge back into the nothing, right? That is the definition of religion. Okay. I'm gonna pin that comment now because I don't understand it, but I like it. So you believe that you merge back into nothing. No, I don't. I disagree with that. Right? That is the definition of religion. I'm not sure what you mean by that is the definition. Do you mean that in religion you get to you get to go to heaven, so that's better than going back into the void? I think that's what you're saying. Popcan 92. I kind of like that name too. Popcan 92. Popcan 92. I want to know what that name means, but I'm gonna go ahead and follow you, Popcan. No, I don't know. You know what I think? I think we get recycled. Because we're stardust, right? We learned that from great 60s, 70s rock band. I want to say it was Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but I wasn't born until 65. So some of that was ahead of me. But we're stardust. We're innervated stardust. Somehow and I think they're getting closer to proving that probably we weren't here, but we hitched a ride on some kind of asteroid and poosh, and we hit some water. And then all of a sudden people crept up. So I think we're aliens. We've discovered the aliens, and they are us. This is a song called Acrobatics by Plastic Man. Because we can't talk too much politics. It takes all the fun out of everything. Hey, instead of making America great again, can we make politics boring again? Can I talk to my neighbor who's a Republican who loves Trump, and I hate Trump and think he's the devil and the Antichrist, but can we still get along? Is that crazy? Or how about this? Let's just not murder each other. And I'm putting you on blast. The threats to poll workers, which is how I, as a psychologist, to me, that's how I gauge where public volatility is at. It's like, ooh, you're threatening regular poll workers who come from all walks of life, from the inner city to the exurbs, and way out in the country, even as far as Gladwin County, Michigan, and that's out there, bro. That's Amish country. I do love the Amish, though. I do enjoy their, I don't know, their way of life. I couldn't do it, but I respect it. I really do. And if you have to compare religions, side by side, the Amish are probably right about more things than the rest of us. I'm not in a religion, but if you just look at the way they live off the land, they're self-sufficient for the most part. They produce very little waste. They do all their own stuff. They're kind of living the hippie commune dream, but they actually are succeeding at it. There are problems in the Amish community, though. I'm not judging them, but I want to make sure you don't think I'm, naive enough to think that they don't have issues with power and control, because most humans do. You know what I mean, Cypher? You know what you mean. Can we get an amen from behind the curtain? Can we get an amen from behind the curtain? There we go, people. This is Atheist Church, and I'm your brother Seamus. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on TikTok. You can watch us on Facebook. On Facebook right now, we haven't rebranded yet. I might leave it, but on Facebook right now, we're under the title Humans for Democracy. And I'm going to give you a look at that real quick here. I'm going to give you a look at that right there. Oh, that camera's too close, isn't it? So if you're just a Facebook person, that's what our Facebook page looks like right here. Sorry about that. I was talking to my TikTok people, and I totally left out the YouTube people. I hope you're not terribly hurt. Cypher's taking his 15-minute break. All right, if you're on YouTube, the number is 509-676-6032 to call in directly. And let's see what we got here. We got some more comments. Let me handle these comments. Get a drink of water. By the way, if you're listening on TikTok, you're just hearing what sound I'm putting out in my studio. And it might be a little too boomy. So let me know if you think it's too boomy, or if it's just right. Just right. Let's see. Can you get behind church that sees it as an alien origin story? Well, I mean, that's a good one. I guess I sort of... I mean, I assume you're talking about Scientology. And no, Scientology I have problems with because they physically and psychologically abuse their members, as do most cults, churches, what have you. So Scientology to me, but the story, if we just, I don't know if you're asking just about how believable is the story. It's like, well, it's as believable as anything, I guess. I mean, at least we think we know there was a human being named Jesus, so that gives you a little more to work with. I would just stop short of saying he was a god, but I would say, because I just don't believe in gods, and because it's just us, people. I wish there were God. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Jesus sweeps me up in a fiery chariot on the day I die, but I'm not going to wait for that, you know. But what I was starting to say is Jesus was right. It doesn't matter if I think he's a god or not, you know. I'm behind, you know, you can't, I was raised Irish Catholic, so, you know, that's always going to be in my system, right? Let me see if I missed anything. Yeah, so going back to Popcan's comment, you believe that you merge into the nothing. I would say we go back to, like, is it Mr. Spock or Dr. Spock on Star Trek? I can't remember. Mr. Spock said, you know, pure energy is the answer to that question. If our reality is started by nothing, well, I would say that's kind of it's a paradox. I don't think it's nothing. It's just another form. What's that? I kind of go with where the physicists are. Matter is neither gained nor lost. It's just transformed, right? You can't really get rid of what we are. You can just get rid of this particular physical structure, configuration. Like right now, we are some sort of stardust that's become innervated on a wet planet. And has developed self-awareness. That's what I think has happened. The 38 grams we lose when we die, I wish that was true. I don't think there's any real science to back it up. I think it's a popular myth. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, Popcan, prove me wrong. I mean, you don't have to. I don't think that works. I think that's made up. Not ghost, but from great beyond. I kind of like that. I don't know what you mean exactly. I'm going to pin it because I don't understand it. Let me pin that mofo. Get on up there. Yasha was 50% artificial or IVF to marry. I don't know what that means either. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't have any problem with any church's origin story because remember, it's just a bunch of stuff that we all at some point agreed upon. We agreed upon a bunch of things, and then we created ritual around those beliefs. And I think that many of the beliefs are fine. But for me, it all comes back to the basic idea of how do you treat other human beings the way you would want to be treated? Because then, you know what? You don't have to worry about trans people. Because they're not really an issue. It's just something that we've all been made to be afraid of. Or if they can get you to be afraid of. And that's where these mother effers come in. Social media has figured out what your triggers are. Social media knows if you're going through a divorce. Husband and wife upstairs and downstairs. They're both on their phones. They're both on Facebook. They're getting completely, and Facebook knows they're in a relationship, but they're getting completely different things pushed at their eyeballs. You know why? Because Facebook knows what their triggers are. Now, you could say on the innocent end, they're just trying to sell them some socks. They're just trying to sell some Bombas or whatever. Okay, that's fine. Well, maybe it's fine. On the other end, if I want to convince you of something that's inherently untrue, Facebook can find you. And let's say upstairs, downstairs, let's say the wife is going through a midlife crisis and the husband is having trouble with alcohol addiction. The algorithm's going to figure out, oh, hey, this person's spending more time online. They must be upset, or whatever. And then they'll target them with more stuff. And guess what? Then they get more depressed, or more anxious, or more paranoid. And then we say things to each other online. I mean, I see it on here all the time. The irony is, that the more we argue on here, like my best stream ever was because a lot of people were arguing after the election. So to me, it's like, oh, we're getting people more worked up. Can you see? Yeah, I don't mind. Popcan, alien and biblical, makes movies since then. He was divine. Just had more abilities. Those who wrote the Bible did not know the technology today. That's true. That's true. That'd be I don't know if this is what you're saying, but I sure would enjoy a movie. Maybe it's already happened. I would watch a movie where they went back to Jesus' time or whichever. You can pick a biblical figure and then show people with technology visiting. Perhaps it's us. Perhaps we are the aliens coming from the future to visit the present. All right, folks. This is your brother Seamus. It's time for my coffee break. If you're on YouTube, 509-676-6032. The view you get from YouTube is different from because I can use OBS, which is some software that allows you to have some broadcasting going on. Here, I'll give you a look. If you haven't used OBS, it's great. I don't work for them, but I would certainly shill. I would shill for OBS because I think if you want to do a live stream and you can just set up your computer to be like a little broadcast studio, I think you'll like it. So this is my setup where I can broadcast not only onto YouTube, but if I go through, there's a program whose name I forgot, that allows you to use this software, OBS, which is free, open source software. So over here you pick what you want to be streaming, and then you click one of the buttons in the middle, and it sends it over to the stream. So your stream's over there, your input's over here. And then down in the middle bottom is where you control your audio inputs. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You can get really fancy with it, and you can go too deep sometimes. So that's what we use to broadcast. It looks like nobody's watching right now, but that's okay because I may paste this later. If you want to follow Brother Seamus on Facebook, go to Humans for Democracy for now. I think I'm going to rebrand that the Brother Seamus Show because that looks like that's not me, but that kind of people will assume that's me, which is good. We don't all need to know what everybody looks like all the time. So Brother Seamus Show is a safe space for everyone, and we can disagree. But if you're my neighbor, would you give me a ride if my car's broken down? That's what I want to know. All right, Cypher's taking off. Thanks for all the snacks today. Cypher brought the snacks. He's the bringer of snacks. Okay, so if you're just joining us, I had a nice chat with Popcan. I appreciate that, Popcan. I think I followed you. I'm pretty sure. I think I followed you, Popcan. Yep. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on TikTok, people. I've never been over. At one point I had several hundred over on YouTube, but then I rebranded and yeah. And the Brother Seamus Show is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's very unique. I would say a unique taste. People with a unique taste. So I'm going back to Popcan's comment. Yahshua was 50, and Yahshua I assume is another name for like Yahweh or God. 50% artificial or IVF to marry. I think you're saying he had to be at least 50% human so that he could have children or get married. I'm not sure, but that's. I mean, if somebody's a god, all bets are off. You know what I mean? Like. That's why I'm an atheist preacher, because I can't. It's not that I have anything against people that believe in God. It's just I am incapable of believing. Not out of, I mean, when I was a kid, I went to Catholic school and I had that stuff, shoved down my throat, not literally, for many years. And it just never clicked. I'm not saying, they traumatized me, because I escaped, for the most part, unscathed, other than the basic, shaming and corporal punishment stuff that was, typical of the 60s and 70s. Because back then they would just hit you, especially at Catholic schools. So there was abuse, but I escaped. I did not get molested. I did not, luckily for me, even though it turned out they transferred if I say this word, I feel like TikTok's going to ban me. But they transferred a troubled priest who had harmed humans that were too young, and he was transferred at my grade school. But I don't know if he had aged out by then, or they just didn't let him near the kids. But and maybe things happened and I just didn't know. So I escaped unscathed. I'm very lucky. I don't hate religion. I feel like it's used as a tool to manipulate, though. And it's got nothing to do with whether you're smart or not smart, because these kinds of beliefs are emotional. There's not a lot you can do about it. I think we're wired how we're wired. You can try to not feel a certain way, and this is what I'd argue is conservatism and liberalism have to exist in a peaceful, dynamic tension. Because it's all part of the same spectrum. So if we go too far in one direction or another, we're going to fall off a cliff. And I would say right now, unfortunately, because of greed, we're pushing hard to the right. And with technology, with people that make technology that changes people's brain states not being held to account, we're going to lose it, man. We're in that movie, was it Keanu Reeves in Speed? We're in a bus. We can't slow down. And it's being driven by toxic social media that keeps us from living our life like we normally would, where we kind of just respect our neighbor's privacy about politics. Like, I had Mormons across the street. I'm a Catholic kid. We had some heathens on the corner. We had a bunch of Lutherans running around, Episcopals that did. Everybody was sort of like, whatever, we don't need to, don't even bring it up. And then later, behind their back, you know, you'd be like, well, you know, Jim's, you know, one of them Latter-day Saints or whatever. So we would make fun of people, of course. But there was a privacy bubble that I think we lost, and we need to get it back. And social media allows us to say horrible things to each other that if I ran into my neighbor, and of course, even if I made fun of him behind his back, okay? Even if I made fun of my neighbor, like being a Mormon is something, you know, that deserves to be made fun of. I wouldn't harm him as a person. In fact, you know, I was friends with his kids. We all hung out. They tricked me into going to Bible camp once because they said it was just camp. And then I had to make crafts, and I could have been playing baseball. Come on! But they were fine. We had fun. They had good snacks at Bible camp. That was an early time in my life where I thought, oh, this God stuff doesn't really make sense to me. Especially the fact that we kill him. So we torture and murder Jesus to get forgiveness from God? That doesn't make any sense, people. If you tortured and murdered my son, if I was God, I would have wiped you out. Although maybe this is, hey, here's an alternative theory. Maybe this is God wiping us out. He's just doing it slowly, and he's using Facebook to do it. I know. It's a little far-fetched. But that's what I do on this show. I speculate. I have wild speculative notions on this show, and I'm not afraid to share them with anyone. I'm your brother Seamus. I'm an atheist preacher. I'm a licensed psychologist. I've been providing outpatient psychotherapy for 30 years, people, and I'm still chugging along. I like it. I like talking to people. I think most people are good. I think most people have a good heart. But we all get tricked sometimes. And I think this level of brain fuckery, social media brain fuckery, which even looking at me right now, I could use the algorithm to exploit you. I could reach into TikTok or I could reach into YouTube and I could target ads at you. And they're not going to say, social media is not going to sell ads saying, here are the most weak-minded people that are open because they're going through a divorce or they're going through addiction or they just had a big loss. They're not going to say that, but they're going to say, here, let us point your ads at the people that are most open to your message, right? So if you're trying to sell Bombas, good for you. You might sell more Bombas. What if you're trying to sell people on the idea that all Mexicans are rapists and murderers? What if you're selling that idea? They're going to kill us all, these social media companies. And I'm not saying get rid of them, because I know I do think there's a good side to social media. But right now, the toxic side, way too high. The ratio is off. And here's the other thing. They know how to make it less toxic, but they make less money. And if you don't believe me, just Google this. What did Facebook do right after the January 6th assault on the Capitol? What did Facebook do? You know what they did? They changed their algorithm. They tamped down on hate speech and calls for violence. They tamped it all down. They just don't like doing it because they lose money. Who you gonna believe, Mark Zuckerberg or your brother Seamus, who's got a fluorescent duct-taped microphone? Who you gonna believe? I don't think Mark Zuckerberg started out evil. I don't. I think he was just like, oh, we'll have this platform and we'll learn about our users. And then we can sell more targeted ads, micro targeting, right? We can find out. And then You know what? I can run ads. I ran an ad for my merch on TikTok. You can look at it. I think it's in my, on my profile page. This is where TikTok tells me I should beg for you to follow me, but I don't really want you to follow me if you don't want to. That's stupid. But follow me if you do enjoy any of this banter. I ran it. I paid $38, and I ran an ad for my merch, which I'll show you in a minute. There's a link in the bio, by the way. And 57,000 people saw the ad for $38. That's micro-targeting, people. So if you wanted to destroy civil society, if you wanted to establish kind of a new version, we call it fascism, but it's probably a different spin. It's fascism plus capitalism that has no restraint. No, I'm not a communist, I'm not a Marxist, I'm not a socialist. And if you want to use those terms, you have to define them, because I'll bet you don't know. And even though I've read about all of them, I still struggle to dissect what you're going after. The real question now isn't whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or a conservative or a liberal. The real question is, can we get along enough to choose leaders that will keep us from self-destructing? That's what I would say is really important. In other words, Jesus was right. That's all I'm saying. This is your Brother Seamus Show. Yes. Oh, that's a good comment. I'm going to pin your comment right now. Pin. Thank you for your comment. I do appreciate you, even if you don't agree with me. So the easy answer reminds us of a famous Alanis Morissette song, Isn't It Ironic, right? Isn't it ironic that I'm talking to you on social media about the hazards of social media? And you may not have been with us earlier, my young commenteer, but I did say, only half jokingly, that you should stop watching this right now. You should go outside and play. I don't care how old you are. Go out, call your friends, say, hey, let's go to the park and do something. Climb a tree. Skip a stone. Watch some skateboarders, man. There's every city of almost any size is going to have some skateboarders somewhere doing some tricks, man. I'm not saying you should try to do the tricks. Depends on how old you are. But let's see. So I pinned Trebor. So the easy answer, Trebor, is, you got a lot of followers, don't you? You got way more than me. That's pretty cool. Keep doing what you're doing, Trebor. The only way you can reach people addicted to social media is to go on social media. And if you don't use social media right now, like imagine a presidential candidate not spending money on social media. Part of why Donald Trump was one of the first early adopters, this is where his genius shows. He's a sort of a genius. He's a manipulative genius, sociopathic genius, if you will. But he figured out you got to spend money on Facebook because they can target people, and they won't admit this, but what they're doing is they're targeting people who are in an emotional state. They're in an emotional state where they're highly susceptible. Now, Facebook's going to lie about that just the same way that big tobacco lied about lung cancer. They're going to lie about, they're going to suppress data, they're going to do everything they can to delay the inevitable, which is they're poisoning people. These mofos are poisoning all of us. But, Trebor, I can't talk to those people any other way. So here I am. And I'm also, I love to perform, so this is scratching two itches at once. I feel like there's a part of me that does feel like, as a psychologist, after 30 years of doing this, I can't just sit back and not say anything. It's like a feeling like I have a duty to warn. Like, you're being tricked by this thing that we've never had before. We've always had lies and conspiracies. In fact, there's a great joke I heard on the show Archer. Or not Archer. It was on the Venture Brothers, where the CIA captain says something like, when God crapped out the third caveman, a conspiracy was born. And I think he's right. We've always had conspiracies. We have not always had a machine. We have not always had the technology to distribute conspiratorial thinking, dangerous, self-destructive thinking. We've not always had an engine to get it exactly to the people whose eyeballs are most receptive. But yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying I kind of enjoy doing this. It's the only way I can reach people. And I've been into TV and film and video for a couple of decades too, so it's really fun. And I think the only thing, like, immediately that we should do, and we could do it if we got enough pressure, we have to do a petition from the people to delete Section 230 of the Federal Code. So if there's any lawyers out there watching or listening or talking, it's all about Section 230, because then what are the social media companies going to do? They're going to know, oh, we can get sued if a young man gets radicalized and joins ISIS because he got bombarded with YouTube videos because they knew he was in a receptive state because he was going through something. You might just be going through a midlife crisis, or the transition from, the concept of a midlife crisis, by the way, is kind of bullshit. People go through transitions all the time. There might be a midlife, there's several midlife. I'd say going from 17 to 24, that's a big one, especially these days when you can't afford housing, right? You can't afford housing, you can't afford school and health care. We almost gained some ground on the health care with the Affordable Care Act. We did gain some ground. I think 30 to 40 million people got insured on that. Part of why I don't trust the candidate from Mar-a-Lago is he's tried from the beginning to get rid of that, and he never has a replacement at the ready. That's why I don't trust him. He's doing a Wimpy from Popeye. He's like, let me take away your health care today, but I'll give you a shiny new health care on Tuesday. For those of you who are too young, that old cartoon where this guy would always just show up, and he didn't have enough money for a hamburger, and he'd say, I'd gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. Something like that. And he was kind of a meme. We didn't know what memes were back then, but I think he was a meme. Social media is toxic. It's harming all of us. Let me put it like this. If you had a plumber over to your house and you had pipes leaking from the upstairs bathroom, and you're sitting at the dinner table talking to your plumber friend, and water's leaking onto your dinner, and the plumber looked up and said, that's really bad, we should fix your pipes. That's kind of how I feel as a psychologist looking at what social media is doing to people. It's just dripping right into their brain. It's like a main line to the brain. All right. I don't see anybody's watching, but that's okay. Let's see if I'm curious if, for those of you that are techies that might be watching, I'm curious if I'm getting tagged on. Boy, that's so loud, isn't it? Let's just bring this down. I wonder if they're getting me for a copyright violation. I don't see anything. Excellent connection. Oh. Oh. All right, so you guys can see the sign really well on TikTok, but you can't see it really well on YouTube. So I'm going to slide that sign. Let's see, all the way left shoulder, between camera, or right shoulder. I think left might be better. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think you're watching anymore, Popcorn, but I think I get what you're saying. Like you think someone or something came here to start the human race. I think, not ghosts. Yeah, and what if we find out? I kind of agree with that. I just think we came here in, as a microcellular organism of some kind that hit the right environment, and then we grew, and pretty soon we were a tadpole, and then we grew some legs, and then we stood upright and forever had lower back problems. So for those of you on TikTok, you won't be able to see this. One of the advantages of watching the Brother Seamus Show on YouTube is you can see the ads that I'm scrolling through. So I have 2 merch sites. One I named Kick Ass Yard Signs. And I think that's got the most merch, but it might also be the most triggering for conservative people. So I want to warn you, there's merch that says Science Matters. There's merch that says walk more, drive less, Black Lives Matter, of course, vote, vote, vote. My big thing is if we all voted, social media wouldn't be so good at dividing us, because the more extreme beliefs that are out there tend to exist in smaller numbers. So the best we ever did was about 66% voter turnout in the U.S. And that's anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20, 30% lower than other healthy democracies. So we're just not very healthy when it comes to voting. And what happens when a third of us don't vote is we get extremists get power. There aren't as many of them, but they're more dedicated to getting the power. They're driven. That doesn't mean we should let them have the power, because they're dangerous, because they'll do things like kill women in Georgia by not allowing them to get emergency medical care for a miscarriage. And they'll leave them waiting for 20 hours until they bleed out, which is a thing we do in this country now. Did you know that? I mean, we've never been perfect. But your brother Seamus, I don't buy the Democrat-Republican divide. I don't buy it. I don't buy the idea that we're that different. I think we just forgot how to talk to each other, and we forgot how to just say, hey, you know what? Let's not talk about this. This just gets people worked up. And I'm not saying anybody has to walk around feeling oppressed. I'm saying you have a right to privacy. You know? But now if you're a goofball like me and you like to go live online, obviously, clearly I'm open to talking about these things, but I'm not here to judge anyone. But I would like you to try out my merch at Kick-Ass Yard Signs. I got a mask that says wear a damn mask. I know you guys hate the mask so much. I got to admit, as a proud snowflake, ooh, there's my favorite. I like the purple and white masks save line. Oh, they can't find the page? Are you kidding me? Let's see if any of these work. Uh-oh. I think my merch site on Kick-Ass Yard Signs is in trouble. Oh, did they cut me off? Those mother effers. Well, forget about Kick-Ass Yard Signs for now, people. Apparently my entire merch site has been shut down. But I do have my Bonfire account, and I have a new item up for sale. Proud Snowflake is what it says. Let me show you. Here's the mug, people. Huh? What do you think? Proud Snowflake mug. You can get that on Bonfire. The link is up under my name at the beginning of the Brother Seamus account on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, on YouTube, it's also in I believe they call it the bio. That's what most people call it. So you can get a Proud Snowflake mug. This is the fancy one. I thought there were more colors, but maybe I had to add each color one at a time. Two-tone ceramic mug, or, ladies and gentlemen, you can get the plain white mug that says Proud Snowflake. I should have one that I could hold up to the camera. I see immediately that that's my mistake. So I will rectify that. I will rectify that, people. If you're out there in TikTok land and you're listening, I don't think anybody's listening right now, but let me know how my sound is. I guess I could go watch my own program, but yeah, you know. I think I'm going to jump off the air and just look at this recording to see how see what the sound level was like, because I'm curious. I could go a little longer, but nothing's really happening right now, so maybe I'll come back later. All right, this is your brother Seamus. Let me pull up my TikTok page before I go. I want to share that with the YouTube crowd. Brother Seamus Show. Seamus is spelled S-E-A-M-U-S. Right now, I'm rocking the abortion saves women sign, and I know that triggers a lot of people, and I'll warn you, if you're going to watch my videos, I'm making a lot. I'm taking pot shots. I'll admit. But I mean it. I don't do videos about anything I don't believe in, and a lot of my videos are quite serious, but some of them are AI cartoons, I guess you'd call them. They're still photos that I make with AI, and they're usually about the candidate from Mar-a-Lago. So if that'll trigger you too much, don't watch them. But I do enjoy trying to create political satire. Now, when I'm talking to you, I won't be snarky. If you're a Trump voter, I mean, honestly, I just don't believe that being a psychologist for 30 years, I can't possibly accept the fact that knowing someone's a Republican or a Democrat tells me anything about them. I can guess a few superficial things, political beliefs, but I don't think it tells you any. It's like knowing somebody's left-handed or right-handed. That's just how they're wired. Liberals and conservatives are wired differently. That doesn't mean that we can't get along, and it doesn't mean you're a good person or a bad person. It's left-handed and right-handed. Think of it that way. But will we kill each other? Will we kill each other? Or maim, or hate, or abuse each other because we've learned to say horrible things out loud? We've learned to unleash. I feel like what social media has done, especially in the hands of dangerous manipulators, it's created an environment where we just can't escape this manipulation that's happening all the time. It's like our id. If Sigmund Freud was here, I think he'd be like, oh, you released the id. How about that? And now people are making money off the damage the id can cause, because the more that we argue, like there's, I have one person right now watching, and they're gone. The more that we argue, the more traffic we get. Now, I suppose in a perfect world, we would have a blend of I'll take the contrary point of view, me being able to get people to talk in a way that's just as popular as arguing, but less destructive. So going back to the earlier question about why am I on social media if I say it's toxic, well, rule number one is because I can't reach anybody if I don't. Rule number two, I can target people just like the manipulators do. Steve Bannon once famously said, you have to flood the zone with bullshit, basically. So I'm trying to feed the zone with counter speech, which is the antidote to bullshit, I think. I'm pretty sure it is the antidote. So yes, I'm committing to the fact that I won't ever share anything with you that I think in any way is not truthful. But sometimes truthful things are really hard to hear. Like the fact that we are now in 2024 in the United States, we're actively killing young women who are in need of an abortion to deal with a miscarriage. An abortion is just a medical procedure, but now we've gotten to a point where the undeveloped human fetus has more rights than a living, healthy young woman, an otherwise healthy young woman, who may have a child at home. There's a video in my collection on TikTok, I think it's also on YouTube, describing what happened to Amber Thurman. And I think you can read more about it on ProPublica. I don't work for ProPublica, but you can read the story there. And they're continuing to follow the story. And now, because Governor Brian Kemp doesn't want to admit that he's participated in a genocide, albeit a quiet genocide, against young women in his state, and so is Greg Abbott, and so is Kay Ivey. Now that they're known to be participating in a quiet genocide, now they're trying to cover it up, this is what jackals do, people. It's not about being a Republican or a Democrat. Because some of these folks don't even care which party they're in, as long as they can wield power. So what I look for is, are they trying to harm you, or are they trying to help you? If you're taking away somebody's health care, that's harm. Just period. Forget about, it was started by President Obama. But if Mr. Trump wants to take away your health care, he has to say to you, here's what I'm going to do to make up for it. You're going to have access to this, and put that other thing in place first. So as a psychologist, I see this happening, and it's like a plumber at your house at dinner, and water's dripping down onto the kitchen table while you're eating your dinner. And you're like, no, it's fine. And the plumber's like, yeah, but I know pipes, and pipes, your pipes are damaged, madam. So our society's been damaged by this thing that we never had before, that has released some of our darkest impulses upon our neighbors, and I think it's really bad. I think it's really bad. But it looks like we're coming to the end of church because there's nobody at church today, people. There's nobody at church, and there's nobody on YouTube either, I don't think. Let me check before I go. Let me check before I go. Yep, no. One view for a duration of 40 seconds. Well, I thank you, sir, or madam, as the case may be. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your brother Seamus. Let's go out with some music. Let's see who this is, folks. Let's take a look at this song over here. This is called Synthetic by Plastic Man and Richie Houghton, the Prada SS21 women's wear version. How about that? That's a complicated title if ever I saw one. Sorry about that. I should have left you on the, for YouTubers, I left you on the wrong Pandora page. This is a track called Rings Around Saturn by Photech. P-H-O-T-E-K. Rings Around Saturn by Photech. This is your brother Seamus. We're spinning some tunes here on TikTok. Making some coffee. Waiting to see if any questions come in on the studio line. We've got an open phone line. 509-676-6032 is the Brother Seamus Show coming at you live. We'll be here for a minute. I'm going to enjoy some coffee and just relax. If you want to support Brother Seamus and you want to help me run social media ads targeted at the toxic effects of social media, please buy a t-shirt at my Bonfire store or a cup. We just released a new coffee mug that says Proud Snowflake, and I'm quite proud of my product. I am going to get one for myself. I forgot to order one for myself, but I will soon rectify that problem. Well, is that the end of that song? Let's see what we have now. All right, this is called Big and Round. Big and Round by Claude Von Stroke. This is a good one, folks. This is the kind of music I use when I'm working out. Keeps you moving, keeps you pumped. If I lean way back, the people watching on YouTube can see the sign. Now, probably what I'll do is I'll save the YouTube version of this show, and I will post that on the Brother Seamus Show YouTube page. So if you want to watch a rebroadcast, or if you want to see what it looked like or sounded like, it might sound a little different on the YouTube mix too. It's probably overall a better mix because I've had some sound work done lately. A little bit of sound diagnosing. My cousin Sam helped me with the filters on this microphone, and so what we've got going here is we've got a 3-band EQ that's been dropped. We've got a compressor at its default, or maybe I'm resetting it to its defaults. Nope, looks the same. Now we also had another audio tool on there, but I can't remember. It was not a compressor, a limiter. I think it was a limiter. Let's see. So anyway, I think the sound is better. Let's try a limiter. I just want to see what that does. See if we can hear a difference right now in the room. I'm not really hearing much. Chaka 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 cha cha. But I will leave it on there. It's on the defaults. All right, so we've got some audio stuff happening that I hope makes the show more enjoyable for you. We've got some music happening, which I hope makes it more enjoyable for you. We have a second camera angle, which I haven't really shown today, although it's a nice one. It's looking nice right now. This is the Brother Seamus Show, 509-676-6032 on YouTube. On TikTok, you can just do the thing where you request to talk. I don't quite know how they do it. I need to look at it more up close, but if you know, feel free to let me know in the comments. See if we've got a filter on camera 2. Got color correction, but no Luma. Let's try some Luma. Oh, there's a little window. There's a little window. There we go, folks. I like that little window where I can peek in. I can peek into the camera. Let's give it a little bit of... There we go. Social media is toxic, folks. It really is. Your brother Seamus would not lie about that. I can promise you that. Ladies and gentlemen, I was just informed some breaking news. A little bit of breaking news here on the Brother Seamus Show. If you get a perm, what I've just learned, I think I knew this already, but I don't think I've ever seen it. The chemicals from the perm can drip down your face, and you get a chemical burn on your face from the perm. I knew that people said they got burned from it, but I didn't know you could see a red streak. It's like watching the aftermath of a comet, the tail of a comet, burning its way down my partner's human face. So that's your breaking news here on the Brother Seamus Show. Don't say I didn't warn you. All right, I'm going to be on the air for exactly as long as it takes me to finish this cup of coffee. And if we don't get, unless we get some juicy questions, then I'll go a little bit longer. So if you're holding on to a question, now's your time. So for those of you that follow me on TikTok, if you just go to the top of my profile page, you'll see that I have a link to a bonfire.com store where you can buy t-shirts and a coffee mug that says Proud Snowflake. The t-shirts say, "Immigrants make great Americans," because that's how your brother Seamus feels about the situation. You may disagree with me about what I would consider a reasonable immigration policy, but can we agree that the immigrants are just human beings who are trying to live their lives, and they're not here as a special threat to you?
Why listen to me?
If we can do that, we'll get along just fine.
I'm just a voice inside your head. I can't help you.
I missed any. pin that? I want to pin that. Pin that comment. If it's toxic, why are you here? It's a very good comment, and I think the answer is because it's a necessary evil. But I do want to say, let me highlight this point. I'll pause the music for a second because this will be on the exam. I don't want to get rid of social media. I think there's some really fun, cool stuff that you get with social media, but if we can't hold them accountable for harm that they cause, they're going to run right over us. Just like the tobacco companies did with lung cancer. They knew lung cancer was happening 20, 30 years before they were forced, before they were held accountable. And the same thing is happening with these social media corporations, is they're harming us and we can't do anything about it. So I'm not advocating we get rid of it. I'm advocating we make it safe. And the only way to do that is to be able to sue their rich asses for the money that they should pay to the public. So yes, in a nutshell, my answer is sue their rotten rich asses. I wonder if I get in trouble for saying asses on here. I live dangerously. Your brother Seamus lives dangerously. Well, TikTok is telling me I've been live for 90 minutes, and that was kind of my goal. So I achieved my goal. We're also live on YouTube, the Brother Seamus Show. You've been listening to My Plastic Man Radio station on Pandora. Oh, I want to share with you the update on the abortion laws that are causing young women to be denied health care. And then we're going to call it a night. We're going to call it a day. All right, well, the last thing before I go, you may already have heard this news. So the reason we found out that the Georgia abortion law, which is the same as the Texas abortion law, which is the same as the Alabama abortion law, they basically restrict access to a point where women who are having miscarriages, whether or not they were pro or anti-abortion, they're being denied health care because the doctors are afraid they're going to go to prison, because they're threatened with prison by this law, and the law is not clear on when you can intervene to save the life of the mother. Ipso facto, the surgeons are erring on the side of not going to jail, probably instructed by the hospital owners or the board to not provide abortion care to women who need it. So then 20 hours later, Amber Thurman dies on the table while they're doing panic surgery to try to save her. So what ProPublica now discovered was that the board that investigated the deaths, and then they apparently the confidential information provided by the Maternal Mortality Review Committee was inappropriately shared with outside individuals. In other words, we found out that women were dying who shouldn't have been dying. So this committee, the Maternal Mortality Review Committee, somehow got that information to ProPublica, or somebody in there must have leaked. I'm not sure how it went down. But Governor Brian Kemp, who you can see in the background in this photo right here, I can even share this with you on TikTok. So Governor Kemp back there is basically shutting down the organization that brought us the information about women dying from being denied basic health care. But because that health care has a name, the name of abortion associated with it, so then the doctors, who I think should be following their Hippocratic oath and providing that health care regardless, are too afraid of going to prison. So women have died, and now what they're doing, their response to this, instead of changing the law, is to shut down the committee that investigates how these women are dying. Now, I haven't dug in deep, but if you want to follow this, it's on ProPublica.org. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get any money from them. I just, they're one of the only journalistic sources covering this story closely right now. And the reason I bring this up before we go is you don't have to agree with me about abortion. Because your brother Seamus thinks until the lights are on, nobody's home. And the lights don't turn on until pretty late in the game, people. Pretty late in the game. 8-month gestation. If there's no one in there, there's no one to receive any signals or process anything like pain or joy or whatever. But we attribute those things to a developing fetus because we want to pretend it's a baby, but it's just really not a baby. And I know that upsets people. It eventually becomes a baby. But if there's no conscious mind, nobody's home. And that's kind of how we do it on the other end of life. But the reason I'm mentioning this about what's going on in Georgia and Texas and Alabama and I think 5 other states maybe, it doesn't matter how you feel about abortion. Now, even if you're having a miscarriage, you can't get treatment because the procedure you need, a DNC, is an abortion. So Amber Thurman, if you want to read about her, she's linked in this same ProPublica article. And in case you're, because conspiracy theorists are going to start pumping out stuff about how this isn't really happening. In fact, I had somebody in my live a few days ago that was like, oh, this is disinformation. It's like, well, you can call it disinformation if there's no evidence of it. But you can go to Georgia, and I'm not saying you should do this, but you could go visit Amber Thurman's grave. I don't think you should bother the family, but these are real people dying. Completely unnecessary deaths. They're dying, young women who have children. Amber Thurman had, I think he was a 6-year-old at the time. And we're doing this on purpose. Because the candidate from Mar-a-Lago got married to the evangelical Christians who are far, far right and really into controlling women. It's not about saving babies. It's just about controlling women. And they're proving that now because now they're killing women. And Brian Kemp, you're in on it. Greg Abbott, you're in on it. Kay Ivey, you're in on it. And the rest of you governors who are thinking about passing these laws, you're going to murder fully grown adult women. That's what you're going to do. As the dude once said, this aggression will not stand. Thanks for tuning in. One, two, three, four. Uh-oh. I asked too much of my computer. I asked it to do a 20-second fade. And the only way it could accomplish it was by ganking the music feed. There, we're back. And we're back, people. It was a song called The Beauty. That was a song called The Beauty by Stemmings. One of my faves.